In this video, I'd like to review the rules for quoting poetry following the MLA guidelines. First of all, if you are quoting 2 or 3 lines of poetry, you can use a slash to indicate where the line break is. If there is a stanzaic break, so you're jumping from one stanza to the next, you can use a double slash to indicate that. Let's say that you want to skip some text. In that case, you can use an ellipsis, which is 3 spaced periods, to show what you have skipped. And finally, you might want to indicate sometimes that you are quoting lines, okay, as opposed to regular pages or something else. And if that is necessary, just add the word lines before the numbers. Next, we will look at a block quotation. This is where you are quoting 4 or more lines of poetry as it appeared in the original text. So that's how you determine if it is 4 or more lines. When you copy this in your own text, make sure you keep the same spacing. So we have a stanzaic break here, as you can see. We remove the quotation marks. Those are not necessary. It's pretty clear that this is a a quotation because it is set apart. And you indent the whole thing 1 tab space, as you can see. Finally, at the very end, remove any final punctuation from behind the parentheses and place the period beforehand. We'll look at one more block quotation here just to show a couple of unusual things. First of all, sometimes it can happen that you have a line that is very long. So in this case, the line is so long that it just keeps going after we get to the end of or the right margin of the page. And to set this off a little bit, we can use hanging indentation. So we go to paragraph. Actually, let's go to this little symbol here. And we click on special and we select hanging. But there we are. Now it's indented a tab space. You could also just use the space bar a few times if you find that easier, or you don't want quite as large of a space. And now it's much easier to read this in your paper. It may also happen that you want to use an ellipsis for multiple lines or for 1 or more lines. And if that is the case, let's say you want to get rid of these 2 lines. To show that you've skipped 1 or more lines, you can use a series of periods. So we're just going to put a whole bunch of periods here in a row, as you can see. And that shows that you have skipped 1 or more lines. Try to make your line of periods kind of roughly the average size of the lines in the poem. It doesn't have to be too exact, but that indicates to the reader that 1 or more lines has been skipped here. Obviously, we will want to adjust the line numbers. So what we would do is we would go here. We still have lines 8 through 9, and then we still have lines I'm guessing this is 11 through 18 as well. So this would indicate that you have quoted lines 8 to 9 and 11 through 18. And finally, it may happen that this citation no longer fits. If the line is very long and the citation is kind of jumping to the next line, sometimes that happens, what you would do is you would keep it on a separate line and you would just simply make sure that it is right aligned. So make sure it's flush with the right margin, and then it will be kind of nicely set apart from the rest of the text. That is it for quoting poetry following the MLA guidelines.